At least I think we are going live. Going live. It says we're live. There we go. Hello, everyone. I'm Dave Kassler, amateur radio call sign KE0OG. And I guess we call this last 15 minutes here while people gather the pre-show. And Don DeGidio started it out with a bang with a super chat of $25. Don, thank you very much. That goes into channel funds. And lots of people have already signed in here. I see Boyd, Philip, Joe, Warren, let's see, William Greenleaf, KD2QOJ, hello, and Neil Marsh, and Mark Waldrop, quite a few people. Good evening to you. Good evening to you all. This is 2020 carries on. We're still very much in the middle of the pandemic. Who would have thought in April that in September we would still be very much caught up in this pandemic? Colorado's doing pretty good in the pandemic. Our positivity rate for testing is less than 2.5%, which is outstanding. Some states are seeing as high as 25%. And the number of people in the hospital continues to decrease. So it seems in Denver we're doing okay for the moment. So I'm continuing my flying lessons. I flew today, I fly tomorrow, I fly the day after. And then my flight instructor will be traveling to his summer home on the Alabama coast. And which is kind of interesting because the hurricane just went through there. He's been on the phone to make sure that he has someplace to go when he gets there. Apparently there was some tree damage, but the house is undamaged and unflooded, so that's good for him. So I'll be starting a new flight instructor, my fourth, on the week after that. And then I've got a little bit of time. My annual on the airplane expires the end of September, and the earliest I could get it in was October 5th. So I'll be a few days. I'm going to put a new instrument in there. I bought a Garmin G5 to replace a broken a artificial horizon instrument. Let's see who all we've got here. We've got greetings from W7NRM in Mount St. Helens country. And Philip points out that you can go ahead and click on that like button. Mark, KE4WA, says good evening. Clark Cohey says hello, Dave. Optical Man 1, Jeff, says hi, Dave. Hope all is well. Sent a question, but I had a picture I was going to include, but it would not let me do so, so I just sent the question. It's okay, I've got that here. If you need to send a picture instead of using the web form, which does not allow attaching pictures, you can send it to hamradioanswers@gmail.com, and you can attach pictures in that case. Hello from Tennessee from Mike Odom, KO4CVC. And let's see, Megan Lachotsky says hello. Greetings from soggy Atlanta from Gordon Zimmerman. Yes, I've heard that storm came through there. The worst rain I've ever seen was in Hurricane Frederick when I was in Tampa, Florida in the Air Force. The eye just missed us, but boy did we get rain. We got 18 inches of rain in 11 hours, which flooded the street. We got a little water in the house, but not very much. Harry says, good evening, Dave, from my location in the Oakley area of Baltimore County. It's got a vertical up on a tree stump with one ground radio working 40-20 my favorite bands. Good for you. Okay, and Tim Sitar, KD2 MFK. Covane, Sean McGrath. Hello, Sean. Sean is my ground school instructor and prepared me to pass the FAA written for my sport pilot license. My CFI, by the way, says I'm just a few flights short of being able to solo, so that is good. I had a very good day today. A lousy day yesterday, but a very good day today. ended with a very good landing. So it's the way to do it. Okay, Benjamin Otto says that he hasn't watched all the new Amateur Extra videos because he's already Amateur Extra. But in fact, he is correct that there was remarkable little additional material. In fact, the kinds of things that they took out on Fields and Waves kind of surprised me. I kept the material that I had excerpted from an earlier lesson, and we'll put that up as a separate video. Let's see. A lot of people saying hello to each other here. Great. Benjamin Otto. And TN Tar Heel is here. Chaz says, evening all. Okay, so that is the difference. Neil, thank you for enlightening me on what the difference is for that. Okay, very good. Brian in Surrey, BC, Victor Alpha 7 WXZ, loves the videos, good. And we're working our way up to where we will start answering the questions. I'm going to wait to answer these till 7 on the hour when the show officially starts. It used to be that I would show this screen, which people, I guess, people have come to love to hate, but thought, well, rather than just typing answers to questions, let's just talk about the questions. Have a little chat here, sort of like prior to the meeting. And Sid McCants. Hi, Sid. How are you? Neil Marsh says you put me on the right track. Good deal. Okay. Dave, sorry. Why? You're doing fine. Don says, hi, Dave. Hi, everyone. Getting all sorts of people coming in. I'm going to mute this for just 1 second. Nobody needs to listen to me blow my nose. Okay. And let's see, I'm looking for other new people coming in. Was debugging an issue. Yeah, I think I've about got this figured out, this OBS with this setup that I've got right now. I'm able to get the overhead working. The overhead is working tonight. And I think a couple of the questions we're going to use the overhead. Let's see. What if I mix 50 and 75 ohms together for receiving only? It's not really going to matter very much. You'll get a little bit of reflections at the joints between them, but you cut your signal down a little bit. So I'd try and get as long runs as you could of whatever you're going to use. 75 ohm coax is just dirt cheap. You can go down to Home Depot and pick it up. It's used by cable TV, so it's just ubiquitous. Okay. I'm an extra class also, but it is great to watch the videos again. Yeah, this is the big announcement for tonight, is that today I finished the last extra video, which was the one on exam preparation and stuff. That's all up. Then I have also reactivated the button, the PayPal button on my website, where if you want to order the thumb drive with all the extra class videos on it, you can do so again. It's the same price as before. It's $49.95 postpaid anywhere in the United States. If you're in some other country and you want those videos, remember that they are oriented at the United States test questions, but some people find them interesting. Contact me so I can figure out what the postage is to your country. If it's not much more than what I allot for postage in the U.S., like some places in Europe, I'll just send it to you. Overseas postal rates are just weird, just absolutely weird. Let's see. You can use that for antennas. Yes, you can use 75 ohm coax for antennas. You'll have a little bit of a mismatch right at your transmitter, but if you have a tuner, it'll tune right into it, and because it's not that far off SWR wise, and you can feed a dipole with 75 ohm coax. I mean, it's the cheap way to do it. I mean, the coax, it's cheap, you get what you pay for, but it works. Obviously, it works very well for us for our satellite feeds. So 75 ohm coax, which you get at Home Depot. It's a little weird to work with. Getting it on to normal PL259s and things like that can be a little touchy, but it does work. Bought 9,000 feet off RG6 off Craigslist for $100. Where do you put that much coax? Wow. Let's see. All right. Dave, I need more land so I can put up another antenna. I know a lot of people run into that problem. We had an ARRL section head in our Wednesday Zoom club meeting, said there's not anything new regarding the FCC's proposal to charge $50. I don't know that that's strictly true. It certainly came as news to a lot of us, but okay. And Waldorf has a tuner. You're learning to use it. Chaz R W2CHZ has sent in a $10 addition to the channel funds. Glad you got the AE videos finished. They are done. They're up. They're marked. And go ahead and use them. Remember to work off ke0og.net/extra. That will give you the current list of videos. That way you won't accidentally pick up one of the old ones. Because this is now the third set of extra videos that are up on YouTube. So make sure you're using the current ones. They're pretty well marked. Okay, let's see. Looks like the license fee is a go in the U.S. They've got a ways to go on that. They propose a rule like that. That's not something they implement overnight. So, okay, having high SWR problems with attic dipole, try grounding. Get that thing grounded. Take the cable all the way out to a ground rod with a lightning arrestor there, and then bring it into the shack. You might do that. Daniel just applied for a vanity call sign yesterday. Okay, and Covain, yes, absolutely. Will there be an update videos on the reference station? I'll be doing more videos now on other things. Finally, I've gotten that amateur extra out of the way, and so I can go back to doing more ordinary videos. I should use an with a tuner for end-fed antennas, but why a 1-to-1 versus a 4-to-1? The end-fed tuners need a whole lot more than a 4-to-1 balun. They need more like 49-to-1 because of the very high impedance involved. Wide-range tuner can handle 25 ohm difference. Yes, it can, absolutely. F to PL259 adapters, that'll work. Let's see, working on a reversible beverage antenna. Any advice on making a center tap transformer? Well, you're going to wind it on a coil form. Just tap the middle. Well, it sounds like Neil said his dinner's ready here. Okay, 3 weeks for my application to be approved last July. The DX commander scare off your assistants? No, his father scared him off. So that's now going to be a project that comes back to the top of the heap, getting that done. I was originally going to film him doing it, but he's kind of disappeared. Let's see. Okay. Waldorf Electron Company. If you buy an antenna like the My Antennas end-fed half-wave for 80 meters or 40 meters, it'll come with the necessary balun. So you won't have to worry about it. I recently tested the end-fed half-wave My Antennas, and it's the one I have connected to my station right now. So I've got lots of wire antennas out there. Okay, it's time to begin, so we'll begin officially. Here we go. All right, we finished the unofficial part, now the official part. My name is Dave Kassler. I am amateur radio call sign KE0OG, and this is our weekly Thursday evening live stream in a series. We try to do this every Thursday. We used to have a Saturday one, but I've had to drop that as part of a decommitment exercise, but we'll keep this one going. I'm going to try, now that I've finished all the extra videos and got those up and posted on YouTube, to get back to regular videos. The very first one's going to be about a J-pole that I've got over here that somebody sent me. We'll see how well that works. It's an interesting little twist on a regular J-pole. I've also got a handheld to review from Radiosity. I've got the G90, the Zygo G90 to review. I've given, I think, one video on that already. By the way, I'm very impressed with that thing. It's worked very well. Got lots and lots of things to do. In fact, if you can remember other videos that I've promised, go ahead and put them in the chat so that I can write them down and remember all of them. Oh, yes. The Anytone ATD578UV is a mobile radio that's right here where you can't quite see it. It is up for review too. I've already done at least one video on that, and I'm going to do more. I am very impressed with these Anytone radios. I'm also very impressed with how seriously Bridgecom Systems takes its mission as far as the DMR stuff. They make repeaters, but they also sell the Anytone. I just got an email from them today. They've been on a hiring spree. They've been needing to get more people to get all of the customer service that they want to get for that. So, and Don said he got his My Antennas end-fed half-wave today. It is a little long, but I've got mine set up kind of as they sort of hint strongly in the instructions to set it up as an inverted V. And I've got mine set up as an inverted V with the center only 20 feet off the ground, and I'm amazed how well it works. Works quite well. Of course, that close to ground, it is an NVIS antenna, but will work. Okay. Yeah, the My Antennas is a good one. Ham Radio Crash Course. Hello there, Hoshnazi. Josh, how are you? The modified GD77 is good also. Yeah, the Radiosity makes the GD77, which is 77, 73. Which is a nice, less expensive radio. There are a lot of radios out there. I need to pick one or two and put them up as part of the reference station up there. I think quite a few people have built from the reference station list because it's got all the parts and pieces that you can put together. It's got, I've got the power supply, I've got the coax, I've got an antenna, the radio itself, all these kinds of things. I need to add a ground rod, and I think I have in there where you can get the lightning arresters, the alpha delta lightning arresters, and so on, so that you have all of that. Let's see. All right. Yeah, so we've got famous visitors here. We're going to start with a question that came from somebody whose name I'm not absolutely sure how to pronounce. Sherri Trahan had asked me where she could learn about ham radio. So this is where we go to the overhead. and start your ham radio journey at ke0og.net/training. It's ke0og.net/training. And let me show you what is there. So we go to the screen and bring up another screen, and we go ke0og.net/training. Okay, sorry it's so slow. This is a 4K screen, so things don't show up real well. But it says Technician Class Ham License Online Help for Your Self-Study. It's got an introductory video here, how to get started. And then it has the place to get the manual right here. You can get this from Amazon right here. By the way, if you get it through this link, it helps out channel funds with $1 or $2. Okay, and then here are the videos. Is a complete list of all the videos that you can watch, and each one of these corresponds to a section in the book. Okay, there's one per section, and I don't think I split any in the tech. Yeah, in the general and extra I had to split some sections. And then there is a video at the end that talks about actually going and getting your exam. There's a place here where you can go for ARRL.org exams session search, and I noticed here today that if you want to get, this is ARRL website, if you want to do something online, go to hamstudy.org/sessions, and that takes you to sessions where you can do online testing, which is a major advance forward in amateur radio testing. I think it's great that we're doing that. It's a shame it took a pandemic to force it, but it did. So that is Sherri's question, and that page will tell you everything you need to do. Now, this one is from Jeff Wittern, who says, thanks for all you do. I asked about my experiences in putting up an high-gain AV680 antenna, and you gave me great advice. I now have it mounted on a 13-foot 2-inch mast, but did not take into account that the counterposes would droop so much. They do droop. It is mounted alongside my garage with a flat roof, and 3 of the counterposes touch the rubber membranes on the flat roof. That's okay, that's not an issue. My question is, would it be okay to take paracord and raise the 3 counterposes up so that they do not touch? Yes, you can do that. If they are not all equal, you're going to tilt the pattern a little bit. The counterposes are there for electrical reasons. They're not designed to radiate, but they do. So I think you'll be fine if you wanted to just pull those up, or if you just wanted to wrap electrical tape around the ends so that they didn't make any kind of electrical contact, you'll be fine. Okay, Josh can make anything an antenna. The classic thing to make an antenna and load it with a Pi network is a set of bed springs. So Josh, there's your challenge. Bed springs antenna. That challenge is a good 75 years old. Okay. Let's see. Josh is taking over my chat here. Maybe that's good. In-person VE exams are finally beginning to resume. Yeah, I've heard of some people doing them outside. Our club does it in the Masonic Hall in Cedar Edge, Colorado, which has a very large walkout basement type thing. It's a very large basement, so you can get ample spacing in there. And because the whole wall is windows and doors, they can open that up and you can take the exams quite safely in there. Okay, now this is from Richard Paige. What happened to 9:10? What was 9:10? That was a week ago. 36 seconds of live stream only. I'm wondering if there are two. Let me go in here and just take a look. Studio, YouTube, let me go to the screen view. And we'll go to videos and go to live. Okay, and here's the 10 September. It says 1 hour, 20 minutes, and 47 seconds. Now this one right here, which is 37 seconds, oh, I see what happened. This one needs to be deleted. Let me go back where I was here. What happened was I went live for a moment accidentally while I was doing some testing, and that made that go away. I think I did that a couple times while I was down in Arizona too. I was just trying to get the thing to work, and it ended up that way. Let me just take that off. Okay, great. Yeah, and thank you for pointing that out. If there's something weird on the channel like that, let me know, and I'll try and take care of it right away. Let's see. An in-person VGSC. The bed springs is on my list. All right. And Josh, send me a note when you're going to do that. I want to see this one. I wanted to see if you can work India with those bed springs. Dad's high school turned up a set of box springs. Yeah, they are still around. Actually, normal mattresses, the bottom mattress, sometimes is just wood, but sometimes it's also bed springs. Let's see. Had an in-person VE session at our Aero Park Club site past Saturday. 3 folks came, all passed. 2 new techs and 1 general. Very good. Very, very good. Okay. Let's see. This is from Glen Martin N0QFT. Comment. I was having a little trouble figuring this one out. Maybe you can help me. I've been working with a journeyman electrician to put in the underground transmission line, the grounding electrodes or ground rods, and the wire connections for bonding. Okay, so sounds like he's setting up a fairly good-sized antenna system. I'm using 2-inch PVC conduits with right angle bands of steel conduit. To avoid cutting holes in the conduit at the bends, when using string or rope, the steel conduit is not cut like the PVC, so less chance of getting water and soil into the conduit. I can guarantee you, no matter how well you seal it, it will fill with water. Now, you've got right angle bends. You've got to consider your coax in there. Coax is not designed to bend at a right angle. Even, let's see, LMR 400 has a 4-inch bend radius, which is about like that. Sort of like that. And you need to accommodate that in this underground stuff. The problem is, like the LMR 400 with the foam center stuff, is that the inner conductor will migrate through the foam and eventually short against the outer conductor. So be careful not to put really sharp bends in your coax feed lines anywhere. If you have to do sharp bend, I mean, if there's just no way around it, get an elbow connector. Get a good one from Amphenol rather than one of the cheap Chinese ones that keep falling apart. I've heard really bad things about elbow connectors from the Chinese. Okay, so he is, some had suggested drilling holes in the PVC conduit and placing the conduit over gravel to drain the water from the conduit. I would recommend that too. Doing this would allow soil and water to enter the conduit and plug it. Well, water, not so much soil. Conduit is there to easily replace the transmission line without digging another trench. I'm trying to think why you're protecting that line. Yeah, I mean, it would be good if you can pull the conduit through that. That's great. Some people drill and let it drain. If it gets extremely rainy, I'm just telling you, you've got a tube in a U shape there. And no matter how you do that, you're going to get water in there. And so what that does, at least one spot, the low spot or something, with some gravel for it to drain into in a hole, it can drain out. Now that would mean that air would need to get in some other place for that to work. Otherwise it starts to suck the water up into it. The problem that you have in there is temperature variations. And if it's sealed, you're going to get to the point where when it's hot in there and then it gets cold outside, that hot air cools and it starts to suck whatever other air it can into the connector, and it will bring water in with it. We had trouble when I was in the Air Force with some closed boxes on the outside antenna. They were closed junction boxes. This was in Florida. No matter how carefully the airmen sealed those boxes, whenever they'd open them for maintenance, there was water in them. So we had a sergeant come in one day and says, "Give me a drill and about an 1/8 inch bit." And he put a little tiny hole in the bottom of that box, never sucked in water again because it had a vent hole. And you need to do something like that too. Okay, when bonding, you said CAD weld, which I think is that thermite kind of stuff that gives you a copper. Says it was not the best method for making connections. I think it's fine. I don't know where I said that. If I said that, I misspoke. Why is this? What do you suggest? I suggest that you do the welding kind of thing. You can get the little charges for that from a plumbing supply place. I doubt that you can get them from Home Depot or something. Let's see. Old Milwaukee Railroad electric locomotives had a pickup on top that looked like a bed spring. Oh shoot, there's a name for those. And it'll come to me right after we finish. Okay. Far West Missouri. N0QFT bends are greater than 1 foot. That's a good idea. How much can training for U.S. amateur radio certification be applied to the Canadian test? I understand quite a bit. But you should go. I don't think they publish all the questions up there, but if it's like they do in England, they publish a syllabus. And the syllabus gives you all the subjects, but it doesn't give you the actual exam questions. Do you know of a supplier that can get coax hangers for use on the edge of siding? You could try coaxusa.us. See if they have it. Moles and rabbits that chew on coax. Yeah, that's a good reason to put them in plastic pipe or even metal pipe. For newcomers, oh yes. Got 40 likes so far. That's great. Hello from KG5TEL in El Paso. Now, you don't have a problem with the water in the ground down there. Crosley Fiver, been a long time since I've been through El Paso. Yeah, me too. I've been down to Alamogordo. KB0MXC G90 does not appear to transmit. It says 0 right in the side of the radio under the SWR, and the signals are blank. Check the instructions. You can dial the power down on that thing in half-watt increments, and it may be possible to dial it all the way to 0, so check that you haven't done that. And Waldorf Electron Company has put $10 into channel funds. Which my antenna did you recommend? Try the NFED half-wave for 80 through 10 if you've got the room. If not, do the NFED half-wave 40 through 10. I have a tuner that I'll use. The 450D has a tuner in it. And with the 7300 here, it will tune that in-fed half-wave antenna without an external tuner. It'll tune it that well. And that being the case, there's a very good possibility that the tuner in the 450D will do that. By the way, the D in the model number indicates tuner. So, okay, electrical supply houses, stock Cadwell, Gray Bar Electric, yes. What antenna would you recommend for 100 watt PEP with limited area? I have a post that's up about 20 feet and some 4x4 fence posts that go between the houses about 8 feet high. Well, it depends on how much linear space you have. The reference antenna is the MFJ 2010, but it's 66 feet long. There's another antenna by MFJ, the 17754 antenna, which covers about half a 20 and half of 40 and all of 20. That's only 42 feet long. If you want an antenna that's twice the price but twice as sturdy, you can go for the Alpha Delta DXEE, which is only 40 feet long. That will cover part of 40. It'll cover all of 20, 15, 10, and do pretty well with that. So there's some recommendations for that. Not much problem in Arizona either. Yeah, I was down in Arizona in August, and it was a little warm down there. It was about 115 every day, and I was trying to learn how to fly the airplane I bought. I'm getting much better. I had a great flight today. The last really tough piece is learning to land. And the last time I heard, every single airplane journey involves a landing. So I'm getting better. Did some of the landings all by myself. I won't say they were smooth, but they did that. Okay. Let's see. Better send those tuners. Well, try it. Yeah, is an external tuner the same as the radio tuner? No. That's called an internal tuner. DX Engineering has Cadwell. Yes, I've noticed that. There's been a lot of interest in bonding and grounding recently, so the suppliers are starting to pick these things up. Copper C crimps, those do it too. The weld shots, but I'm not too keen on setting off thermite next to the house. True. Yes, external tuners do match a much broader range. The internal tuners will do up to a 3-to-1. External tuners are more like 10-to-1. SWR. Okay, let's see. Any landing you walk away from is a good landing. Well, I need to make a great landing because I bought that airplane and I don't want to trash it. They just changed the oil on it for me, and its annual inspection runs out the end of September, and they have me scheduled for October 5th to get that renewed. So there'll be a few days I won't be flying in there, and I'm going to use those days to put in this Garmin G5. It's an experimental airplane, so I got the Garmin G5 for experimental airplanes, which is about half the cost of what it is for a certified airplane. So it's still awfully expensive. You know, you kind of get a feeling for what things cost in ham radio. If you add a 0 to that, that would be what things cost in aviation, a factor of about 10. Yeah, I know. Have the ground rod now, but systems, well, putting the ground rod is. Do you have an RC version of my airplane? No. No. Externals usually have larger capacity components. Yeah, it depends. Yeah. Okay, this one is from Owen. Hi, Dave. I sent you a question a number of days ago in regards to using a transmitter to transmit 3 frequencies at once through one aerial and one transmitter. I've had no reply, mate. I don't know what's going on, and I really do need this for my university. If you can help me, it would be most appreciated if you can respond, please, Dave. Thanks again so much. Well, I have been put in my place. We'll come to his original question a little further down. This one is from Stephen Argobast, who says, I'm an old-timer, got my novice in 67, WN0TIU. Then my advanced expired in 1987. Now I am retired from physics and electrical engineering, getting back into the hobby. I plan to take the test for tech later this winter, which will immediately give you your general privileges back, not advanced, unfortunately. He's in Durango. After I get my new license, can I still apply for my old call sign WA0TIU? Yes, as a vanity call sign, if it is if it's not been taken, and probably has not, because the FCC, unlike the FAA, has not been reassigning old expired call signs routinely. The FAA does reassign N numbers. I'm the third user of the N number I have. I'm N8053 Romeo. First rig was a Heathkit DX100, then managed to acquire some old used Collins gear S-line, which is really nice stuff even today. My first receiver was junk, very embarrassed to mention it. I've enjoyed learning from your videos, especially the whisper stuff. Thank you, Stephen. Okay, well, Stephen, good luck with your test, and don't wait till winter to do it. Go ahead and take it. It's pretty straightforward. I have all the videos for tech. They are available, and if for some reason you don't have good internet connection or stuff for videos, I've also got them on the thumb drive. The tech videos on thumb drive are $29.99, postpaid anywhere in the U.S., the general are $39.99 postpaid anywhere in the U.S., and the extras are $49.99. That's because I have to go 16K will take care of the tech videos, 32K will take care of the general videos, and it takes 64K to do the amateur extra. So get progressively more expensive thumb drives in there. But the new amateur extra are now available if you are interested in those. Now, caveat, please. The videos that are on the thumb drives are identical to the videos that are on YouTube. If you have good access to YouTube, you do not need to get one of these thumb drives. They are a convenience feature for people who have intermittent internet service or need to study on the subway or something like that, or they're going up to a cabin or something, they don't have connection. That's what those are for. Please do not think that you need to get it to get something different. It's not different. It's the same. Okay, this is from Nathan Cross, KG7FWI. First, thank you for all your teaching. Second, I've actually had my technician license for years and general for months, but I'm having trouble getting over the hurdle of getting on the air. You are not alone, Nathan. Believe me, you are not alone. The thing that will get you on the air is to go find another ham, another general. You can get them at a local club or something like that and say, can we make an appointment to get on the air so I can troubleshoot getting on the air? And if you have trouble, which you will, you can start working through those things here. He says, I have a pretty tall house, so I'm excited to get an antenna up there. However, grounding is tripping me up. The feed needs to come down the north side of the house where I can drive an equipment ground rod. Yes. I was planning to use the plan for bolting lightning arresters to that rod as you show. Good. However, then the issue becomes that I've created a ground loop between the service ground and the equipment grounds. Potentially created one. My understanding is that the NEC requires you to bond the equipment ground to the service ground using number 6 wire in most cases. Yes, outside the house. Get bare wire and bury it. Okay? And that fact that you bury it as bare wire will take a lot of the ground loop issues away. Problem is that the service sets it would be a long wire to go all the way around the house and hard to route through some areas as well. Yeah, I know, you can get sidewalks and stuff. However, near where the coax comes into the basement is a sub-panel within the house. Can I bond the equipment ground, antenna ground rod to the sub-panel's ground? No, I would not recommend doing that, because then you've just got a long wire that goes through the house over to your utility ground. You want your ground rod to go outside the house in case there is lightning. You're not injecting anything into the house. So, yeah, I would just go ahead and bite the bullet and run that ground wire all the way around the house, bare and buried. Okay, Optical Man Jeff, thank you very much. He says, thank you for all you do. You provide a great service. Thank you. Let's see. I think I probably missed some. Okay. What would you say is the best antenna for 20-meter mobile use? Oh, golly. Some people swear by the various versions of a screwdriver. Some people use ham sticks. Mobile antennas are a topic unto themselves. Look at the ham sticks. Now, the ham sticks consist of different pieces. A ham stick is something that's got a screwdriver. No. Screwdrivers have screwdrivers, and ham sticks are something else. Has a screwdriver thing in it and a little motor to drive it. Then you need something to tune it, and you can either tune it manually, which is a royal pain, or you can have it tune automatically, which is what you want to do. And you can set yourself back quite a few $100s doing that. Now, the ham stick, there's these things you can get from MFJ that will like clip onto your trunk lid, and you screw the ham stick onto that, and it just sits there, and you can tune the ham stick for the part of 20 meters that you want, which would probably be kind of the upper part, the general band on 20 meters. You might get the whole voice band, but I think you're only going to get the general band on that. And then you can operate mobile with that. It's a lot less expensive than a screwdriver. So that's my thinking on that one. Okay, nets are friendly to new hams, generally. Yes. Does the alpha delta unit at point of entry and ground rods count as grounding the antenna, or do you have to run a separate ground wire? Okay, if you bring the antenna lead, the coax from the antenna to the lightning arrestor at the ground rod, that's all you need to do for the antenna. Now, if you've got a tower, that's another story. The tower itself needs to be grounded. Furthermore, the grounds on the tower need to be bonded to the grounds around the house. You're going to end up running a buried number 6 wire, bare, between them. Some would go so far as to say put in additional ground rods every 10 feet. That would certainly be a deluxe system. I don't know that you have to go that far. I'm not going to say either way. Do what you feel comfortable with, because I'm not a licensed electrician. You need to talk to an electrician who's actually familiar with radio and tower installations, because your average residential electrician is used to grounding once for the whole thing. That's my old mate. The only way to keep water moisture out of underground conduits is like the utility companies. Yes, and the key thing right there is the 25 psi pressurized sealed system. Occasionally, once in a while on elevated cables, you'll see what looks like a gas cylinder mounted up on the telephone pole. What that is doing is pressurizing the cable to keep the water out. And they look very closely at the pressure gauge on those things, because if the pressure starts to drop, that means there's a leak somewhere, and they've got to go find that leak. The old telephone cables were plastic coated, but each wire inside was wrapped in paper. And they were a royal pain. They had to tone out each one of those little wires so they could connect everything up. I remember when I was in the Air Force, we had a lightning strike just outside the radar site, and it was in the ground, and it zapped part of the telephone cable, and they were like 3 days putting that thing back together because water got into it, and and all the cables soggy and everything. And so nowadays they do everything with plastic, it's pressurized and so on. Okay. Yeah, what you can do to get a ground wire under a sidewalk, I did this with a pipe. Just dig a little hole and then keep hitting it with a pipe till you gradually dig out a little tunnel underneath. So you can put that in there, and if it's, the tunnel's only about this big and you've got this much sidewalk, it's not going to crack or anything. Okay, Outbacker antenna, good mobile. Nice little RF burn in my hand holding the mic with my mobile TS50 and 40 meter ham stick. Yeah, make sure that's really, really, really well grounded to the chassis of the automobile. Yes, ground rods need to be spaced in the length that they're driven into the ground. If an 8-foot ground, yeah, okay, 8 foot, you're right. RF burns hurt. So I was told to buy SWR grease, but oh my goodness, somebody has pulled on your leg there. SWR grease, that's like getting going to the airport and getting a bucket of prop wash. Or what they do with brand new Airman Basic, they'll send them from hangar to hangar looking for a left-handed monkey wrench. All the ways we haze people. Yeah. I was USAF crew chief, watched lightning bounce down the tarmac from ground rod to ground rod. Impressive and scary. Yeah, wow. Telcos have units that bore a hole under a sidewalk. They'll do that too. Okay, this next one is from Craig Roderus, KC3 HRD. I am currently living in a dorm. And first of all, I'm assuming that, Craig, that means that you're not 60 years old, retired, and sitting in your shack like I am, but you're young and have a great deal to offer the world ahead of you there. Plan on using 40 meters at the most, so what kind of antenna can I use that's relatively small that I can also sit relatively close to? 4 feet maximum. Worst case, I will build a loop antenna and operate outside of my room in the common area. Craig, I think that loop is going to be the way to go. The other thing you could do is if you have some sort of a mount that you can actually ground something, like to a railing, you could use the ham stick or something like that, or you could get the dipole thing that MFJ sells with 2 ham sticks together forming a dipole. That's something you can put up and take down. Another thing you can put up and take down is a buddy pole. Now, I recognize all of these things that I've mentioned cost money. The problem with building the loop antenna is the capacitor. You need a big capacitor in there that can handle pretty high voltage. There are some, Chameleon makes the P loop and the F loop, either one of which would work for you, but again, you're talking money there. I would try looking at the ham stick, maybe as a dipole kind of thing, and that's something you could fabricate mostly yourself, and individual ham sticks are very inexpensive. You need 2 of them for 40 meters, and you put them in like this with the mount, and I think MFJ makes that mount. You can just make it a dipole, something you could set up either in the common room or out on the lawn and use. I think your best bet is going to be that loop, but getting one that's relatively on college. But I remember what my budget was when I was in college. That's what I used the club station for, because I couldn't afford any gear of my own at all. I mean, there's one way to be poor is to be a college student. Okay, so Craig, that's what I would suggest there. Okay, this next one is from Johnny Cakes 361. John KC2AGT in New York. I have a restriction but ran a 5/8 dipole, partly indoor and partly outdoors. The last 6 feet too long to continue straight out, so I have to turn or bend it either right or vertical, and that's fine. Analyzer shows bending right, staying horizontal okay. What about folding back on itself? No. When you fold it back on yourself, you've just electrically shortened your antenna. If you bring it up and then off at an angle or something like that, it can kind of handle that, okay. But when you bring it back on itself, it's electrically shortened. So, question number 2, do I adjust my MFJ antenna tuner after I turn on my amp or tune on low power? Tune on low power. Now make sure that you've got your stuff in this order. The radio, the amplifier, the tuner, the coax, and the antenna, okay? The tuner's at the end of the line. Now you just turn that amp off and get that tuner all set up and then turn your amp on is how you do that. Make sure that the amp or the tuner can handle the power from the amp. Okay. This is from Vincent Seech. I guess Seech. Thank you for both your time and effort you placed within the general YouTube series. I appreciate your teaching style, often going in very deep to the subject, then leaving that trail of breadcrumbs to encourage self-study. Today I passed both tech and general tests. Congratulations, Vince. So I'll be watching more of your extra series. Very good. I admit to having watched several, and they secretly reinforce the general materials. Yes, they do. Often they answered my questions I might have otherwise asked. Well, thank you, Vince. It's very kind of you. And Felipe Lewis has added $10 to the channel funds. And Harry Rundle, another $5. Thank you so much. We're up to 75 for the day. This goes into channel funds after YouTube takes its take. It's cut. And then, let's see. Artificial ground is nothing more than a counterpoise. Yes, and that's what it is. This is from Wiliam Hardy. Hi. New and learning to be a ham. Welcome aboard. Feel free to make mistakes and ask about them. I want to know the length or estimate for a mobile quad band antenna and quad band radiosity mobile. They give you a package deal, but they do not give you coax with it. I read some reviews on the subject with everybody is having trouble setting SWR. I live in Indiana, roughly within 60 miles east of Indianapolis and west 30 miles from the Ohio state line. So he's in a very flat area. There are radios built, you can find them, that operate FM only, on 10 meters, 6 meters, 2 meters, and 70 centimeters. Now, there is very nearly zero 10-meter FM activity. There is some, but very nearly zero. There is very nearly zero 6-meter FM activity. There's some, but very little. Okay, and of course there's lots of FM on 2 meters and lots of FM on 70 centimeters. I am thinking that the reason that the Chinese, and I think Yaesu has one of these, is that in some countries it's an advantage to have that. The U.S. is not one of them. But you would feed that antenna like you would feed any other with coax. Those radios, I think, are about 50 watts out. So you can use RG8X or RG213 or LMR 400 or something like that. I doubt seriously you will find activity on 6 and 10 unless you create it. If you find other people who have the same radios out there, and they are out there, start some nets, get some things going, start warming up those bands. The FM activity on 10 meters is the only FM activity. By the way, if you are a technician, you do not have 10 meter FM privileges. Remember that. As a technician, you do not have 10 meter FM privileges. You have 10 meter sideband and data and CW, but not FM. But you do have 6 meter. You have all privileges on 6 and up. So, okay, so I think that answers that question there. Just ordinary coax. I don't think you're going to find a real good match, but it'll be good enough for the radio. How to run a wire under a driveway, trenching with a pressure washer. Yes, you can do that. You can do that too. Tried MFJ hamstick dipole and had about 120K bandwidth on 40. Okay, so that'd give you the general band. FM, yeah, they do. Let's see. Does work well on 60 meters. Okay. If you need a tuner between radio and amp, something is really wrong. You know, you used to, back when everything was tube, you had to tune into the amp because the amp didn't necessarily have a 50 ohm input. Nowadays they all do. Let's see. A few 6 meter FM repeaters in Indiana. Great! Great! By all means, use them. A 6 meter FM repeater on Mount Lemmon in Tucson. And that's every Friday night. Cool. Very cool. Anyone here work the ISS crossband repeater yet? I have not. Benjamin says he's only listened. Now, here is an interesting question that I got. This is not from a ham, or it purports not to be from a ham. It purports to be from the wife of a ham. Okay, so let's take that at face value. This is a ham's wife. Dear Dave, can you help a disgruntled ham radio wife? My husband ran a wire to a window in our house from a pine tree perhaps 200 feet away. No problem, that'd be a long wire. A long wire, okay. No problem with that, except it has another part which drags on the ground. I don't get it. Well, it sounds like you ran out of places to hook it. This wire has now stopped the lawn guy from mowing this area it lays on. No comments from hubby. He mumbles under his breath when I complain. What do I do? Help save our marriage. Thanks, Penny. Hope you can translate what I'm saying. I'm not up on the jargon. Well, Penny, you're doing well enough. The 200-foot ground rod, if it 200-foot wire really is 200 feet, is a good long wire antenna on 40, probably 80. Let's see. Yeah, that would be good on 80, not 160, but on any band up from that. What you need to do with that piece of wire that's down at the end is either wrap it around the tree, just wrap it around the tree, or string it along the fence, or take it to another tree. And if it's not long enough to go to another tree, just attach a little piece of rope to it, take it to another tree, and it'll work fine. And tell your husband that Dave Kassler, KE0OG, said it was okay to do that. Okay? And I think you will be fine, Penny. Yeah, I can understand why that would be an issue. Okay. Techs need to join 1010 International. Yes, that is true. Techs have some good privileges on 10 meters. Now, the new sunspot cycle has officially started as of the beginning of this year. They're saying a peak around 2015. The consensus is starting to tend toward the idea that this will not be another ho-hum cycle, but actually might have a little oomph to it. Although the scientific community is divided on that. Oh, that's interesting. We'll take that one next. So, now that we're going in the new sunspot cycle, 10 meters is going to start coming alive. It'll be first just in the middle of the day or at gray line. And then it'll start opening up more and more. It's going to remain a daytime band. I remember a couple cycles ago, I was getting 15 meters into Soviet Russia, in Asiatic Russia, at 11 o'clock at night. That's how good the sunspots were then. Okay, here's the entry from Owen Groove. Dave, I would like to know if it is possible to use one transmitter and broadcast their separate frequency with one antenna open to send 3 frequencies to FM receivers, one at 89.6, 2 at 99.6, and 3 at 102. Well, first of all, remember that it is legal to have very low power FM transmitters that can send signals. Oh, that's, you're allowed what? A watt, maybe? Probably less. I'm not sure. It's not a Part 97 device. But you can do this. What they're used for is things like if you don't have a stereo cassette player in your car, you can use an ordinary cassette player with this little FM transmitter, tune in your FM radio to the right place, and it'll play through the car stereo, things like that. So we're talking low power here. Now, one of the problems with 3 transmitters connected to one wire is keeping the output power of one transmitter from just going right back in to the amplifier, on the final amplifier on the other transmitter. That's going to create a problem. So you're going to need some way to protect each transmitter from the other 2. Now, microwave, you would do this with circulators. But a circulator at FM would be a very large object, room-sized, and would not be a good thing to do. It is also possible you could play games with some antenna stubs, so that coaxial stubs of different lengths, so that a signal would hit it and it would look like an infinite impedance and go out to the antenna and not go into the other radio. So I think that is what I would suggest. It'd be just at the output of each transmitter a stub, so that getting into a circulator. I mean, I don't know how you avoid a circulator. A circulator is a microwave device that if you get power coming in input 1, it will come out input 2, but not 3. Power in input 2 will come out 3, but not 1. And literally it circulates, it goes around. It's and they're tuned waveguide kinds of things. This frequency is just way too low. And the problem that you've got, another thing you could do, and this might work, is develop the 3 signals at a very low power level, dBm level, and then add them. You can add them easily enough with some op amps. Add them. You're going to need an op amp that can work at that frequency. A lot of op amps won't work up there at those VHF frequencies. But you add them into one signal, okay? And then have one amplifier that gets you up to your 5 watts or whatever that sends it to the antenna. Now that amplifier can be Class C, okay? And, I mean, it's got well, I don't know if it can be Class C or not. It's got 3 different main frequencies in it. Yeah, I think you're going to have to go with a Class A amplifier. So you take 3 very weak signals, add them into one signal. Now if you use op amps to add, which you can do easily, it's the equivalent of an audio mixer circuit. Audio mixing is not mixing, it's adding. You're adding waveforms. And here you would add the waveforms and then send them to a Class A amplifier to get you up to the power that you want. And then you can send that to a single antenna. That's the only thing I can think of that would work. So there's, and there's your free consulting there. Let's see, this one here is our last one. This is from KE4WA, Mark. Says, wasn't sure where to submit this. You don't need to respond on the air. Oh, okay. He is talking about flying. Your instructions of the pattern and landing would be like using a list of instructions to ride a bicycle. Yeah. We simplified the landing today. He had me going up by 1 notch of flaps, 1 at the end of the downwind phase, 1 at the end of the bass, and 1 while in final. We simplified that. 1 notch flaps will land the airplane just fine. So we put that notch of flaps in at the end of the downwind by cutting the power quite a bit, pulling the airplane back so it's not losing altitude, but it is, of course, losing speed rather rapidly. And when it gets down below 80 miles an hour, pull up 1 notch of flaps. It's the only notch we're going to use. And then keep the speed constant at 70, going on down. Okay, it looks like YouTube is saying it's not real strong. Well, we'll see. So you start going down at 70, and then you turn bass, and the only thing you have to do is keep the 70, and you go on down and turn final, and the only thing you have to do is keep the 70. Now, if you're not close enough, you can add a little power, but keep the 70. So what that will do is cause the thing to nose up a little bit and go a little farther. You can play with the power to get that thing right down on the end of the runway. And I was able to do that successfully just about every time. And was just absolutely delighted. My flight instructor, who's been just as frustrated as I am about getting all this to come together, was just delighted today. Okay. So, let's see. This guy says, nothing like practice. It will come as natural as driving a car. God bless and many happy landings. I hope they're all happy. I really do. 73 from Mark. Well, thank you very much, Mark. There, interestingly, are quite a few pilots among Augies here, which is, well, interesting. I guess people who have technical hobbies have technical hobbies. Let's see. Okay, real estate people use them for advertising homes. You can drive by the home and hear the advertising broadcast. Very low wattage, like 100 milliwatts. Okay, very good. Multiplexer would solve the multiple radio in one antenna. DX Engineering has a triplexer, but it's for 3 different HF bands. So like 15, 20, and 40. And then you can send it through one coax to a multiband antenna, and 3 people can work independently. I don't think those things are good enough to allow 2 people on one band. A neighbor uses one in his very over-the-top Christmas light display. Oh, my goodness. Arizona, USA. An arc circulator sounds like a radar transmitter to the antenna, not to the receiver. Antenna going to the receiver only. Well, actually, this guy is just transmitting. I think his best bet is to create very low level, like 1 dBm signals, add them, and then send that to a Class A amplifier and one transmitter. And then he'd get each of his 3 signals out. And he can design that Class A amplifier to operate across that entire VHF bandwidth. It doesn't have to be linear down at 40 meters or anything. Okay, Paisley, Scotland. Very good. It's late over there. Let's see, it's 2 a.m. UTC, and you guys are on summertime, so I guess it's 3 a.m. there. I'm not sure. Do I have that right? Hopefully now your current instructor won't quit like the previous ones. Well, he is. I have him tomorrow and the next day, and then he is going to beautiful Alabama to Winter, and he teaches flying down there. He is an interesting guy. He and I are very simpatico. When I first soloed, I never felt alone because of the radio and the tower. No tower here. Strangely enough, the most challenging thing for me when I first started flying was radio work. Yeah. Okay, very good. Well, we are out of time. I've really enjoyed this live stream. We've talked about a number of interesting things and even designed a radio transmitter while we were at it. So thanks to all of you. We have 142 concurrent viewers, and 897 people have stopped by at some point, and $75 in chat revenue, which goes into channel funds. Does things like I just bought that DX Commander antenna, and does help a little bit with the flights too, yes. So thank you all very much for a very nice evening. I hope you have a wonderful evening. I gotta tell you, I love you guys. I love interacting with Augies. This is a great deal of fun. So we will talk to you later, and I am going to say 73.